What's going on, guys? Thanks for joining us. This is the Monday night show, the 9th of the 2nd. It's myself and Ryan. It appears James is late at work. So we're going to get down into it anyway and just start our football manager chat. So are you ready to rock and roll, Ryan?
Always ready to rock and roll.
You sounded the most eager person. Why is it every time I ask people, I'm going to stop asking people to start the show, are you ready? Because when we have guests, they just go, yeah. So let's get down to it. You best be happy. We're going to start with Real Madrid. Now, they played the Madrid derby this week and they got demolished. There's obviously been a lot about Cristiano Ronaldo being crap at karaoke. There's been the Spanish media jumping on Gareth Bale's back about his performance in the match. What's your opinions on Madrid at the minute? I know Barcelona have now pulled it to the only 1 point behind.
Well, I don't really watch much Spanish football much like yourself because I don't really like how the league runs. Spanish football always bores me, but I always like to watch the Madrid derby because it's usually a very good game. And granted, this game was a very good game, and usually I expect Madrid to win, but Madrid in that game absolutely awful. Gareth Bale, I don't think I've ever seen him play so bad in years. I think even when he was at Southampton, he wasn't that bad. Cristiano Ronaldo just kept getting dragged into the centre, which dragged him out of the game. Atletico Madrid and their tactics that Diego Simeone has put them under just controlled the game, and everything was fantastic for them and deserved the win in the end. 4-0 to Madrid. Madrid have been thrashed.
Fantastic tactical manager, isn't he, Simeone? And I think it's clear for everybody to see. When you come up against the likes of Real Madrid, etc., I don't even know the last time I played Real Madrid on Football Manager, so it's going to be very tough. I think actually possibly last season because I did a save with there's a couple of Spanish clubs I like, and Getafe, one of them, just because of how small of a club they are, and they're still battling in La Liga. I did a save with them, so I probably played Madrid then, and I think I just basically got bent over and scuttled. So I'm not really the one to talk about this, but when you come up against Real Madrid, Ryan, as a top manager you are, as we know from the journeyman save, which you can see on the screen, how would you go about nulling talents such as Ronaldo, Gareth Bale, Benzema, etc.?
Well, I think a lot of people make the mistakes with teams like Real Madrid and Barcelona and all the top teams who have top talent. They always seem to make the mistake of they've got to man mark every single one of those players. To me, if you man mark every single good player in a team, you're going to limit your attacking opportunities, which can be seen in the Atletico Madrid game. They didn't man mark Ronaldo, they didn't man mark Bale. There wasn't really much man marking. It was just let Real Madrid attack and hit them on the counter, which happened quite a lot. And that's kind of the way that I play with my. It's not on the screen at the moment, and we'll discuss it on the Thursday show in the tactics. My 4-2-3-1 does exactly that. I don't man mark. I just play on the counter and hit them on the break whenever I can get the ball off them in my own half.
So I think that's maybe one of the issues I come up with when I watch games against clubs like this. The first thing I always think is they need to be tight on them players. So possibly that's maybe, like say, the complete opposite for yourself.
Well, it
Um,
seems if you man mark them, you limit what the defenders can do, and they follow the player, that specific player, around the whole game, and then they could forget about other players. Like if you've got
yeah,
a whole team of fantastic players, like Real Madrid do have, and there's no doubt in that, even though they lost 4-0, they do have some fantastic players. If you're just gonna man mark one player like Ronaldo, then other players are gonna come through.
yeah. I know
But
from that game.
go on.
What has been announced this week as well is Khedira's out for 3 weeks, so another injury for him. If you had a player like Khedira in Football Manager, who's obviously a fantastic talent, but he's missed so much football, hasn't he? Would you just sell him? Are Real Madrid right just to be getting shot of him because he's costing a lot of money, isn't he, per week?
Well, they've just bought the young Lucas Silva, if I can remember his name, the Brazilian
Yes, yeah,
youngster
yeah.
who's near enough a replacement for Khedira. So when I think Khedira's contract's up at the end of the season, so they've already got a replacement in line. So wherever Khedira goes, strong links with Arsenal in the past. Possible Man United? I'm hoping not, because we've got enough injury-prone players as enough this season. I don't think we want another one.
I think it would be interesting to see where he ends up, like say, but I think if it was myself on Football Manager, I think I would stay away from him because he just has too many injuries for the wage he demands. I'm just sitting on the side, Mr. Zulu's listening, so cheers listening, pal. Appreciate the fact you turned up. Let's have a look, see where we're going to go next in terms of discussion. We're going to jump to the Barclays Premier League now. Um, and I'm going to say it is about time because Aston Villa finally scored a goal. And it was against Chelsea. Some of the crap teams in the Premier League at the minute, and they've managed to get a goal against Chelsea. Um, Now, I personally have just gone through a drought like Villa with Luton. I went 6 or 7 games without scoring, and I was banging my head against the wall at points. And then I come out with a couple of victories in the end, so I managed to get turned around. But do you ever hit droughts like that?
Um, I think my last drought on my save was when I was at the lower league clubs. It tends to happen a lot when you just go on a drought in the lower leagues, and it does get frustrating. But you just have to be persistent, and I'm sure you would if you've been on a drought with Luton. You just have to be persistent and
I'm a,
believe
ve-
in your players.
I'm a very strict manager. When that happens, I will demand that they train harder, but I will not demand the change of tactic. I will tell them, look, the tactic we're playing I know works, so stop pissing around and put the ball in the back of the net. And
Mm.
after a couple of games, you start to think, should I alter it? And then you think, I'll give it one more. Then before you know, you've gone 6 games. Then I come up against a average team at home, and I just that week I gave them the team meeting, and I just said, come on, we can get out of this. And I had a couple of individual chats in the team talk, and I wonder if maybe that's what Paul Lambert's done. He's just sat down and said, look, it's going to work. I've dropped Benteke here. I've got a feeling we can do it. Get some hard-working players up front, players with legs, and just see what can happen.
Oh
And
yeah, it's exactly. You just have to.
the defender got the goal. So
You, you just
just
have to. You have to speak to your players. Even on FM, yes, it's a game, but it's very realistic. You keep talking to your players. The morale goes up, and they'll just
just
keep
the
trying to
FM's
score
a
goals, and
game.
eventually,
What?
well.
What? Bit on my CV. Game, you crazy man.
Could be on my CV.
I'm sorry, Ryan's obviously got confused with something else. He maybe was thinking of FIFA because we all know FM's not a game. FM is life. Um, Now the next one, Ryan stuck in. I'm sure it must. Well, actually, Ryan stuck all these in. Now I'm looking down the list. Good job. The next one, Ryan put in. Now I assume this is based on Football Manager because Falcao is shit. So I assume he's meaning Football Manager. Is Falcao and Van Persie a good partnership?
Well,
Um,
it's
Go
just a
on.
general question.
I
It's
cannot.
based on
Honestly, I think it's biggest waste. Each week it becomes more and more apparent.
it's based on the West Ham game, which I don't know if you've seen much of.
I saw the
Also,
game, yeah.
I assume you watched the match of the day, or did you watch it
I
fully?
watched the game fully.
So yeah, I mean, the partnership clearly isn't working. Even as a Man United fan, I can say that they're both.
Shit.
A few years ago, they were both very, very good players, but Falcao has come to United, not proved himself, and both of their movement from Van Persie and Falcao in the West Ham game was non-existent. I think statues move further than anyone to get a goal. I would rather. I don't know if you'd agree. I think Jamie Carragher said the same. I'd rather put James Wilson on,
I don't
someone
think
who's
he's
willing
any good
to,
either.
but he's willing to run around and he's a bit of energy up front. Those two up front. I think we'd rather put 70-year-old man and my nan up front. They'd get more movement.
You're jumping quite a lot, pal. I don't know if you've got anything open. Um, I don't know. I just think maybe like you said, a couple of years ago. Don't get me wrong. I'm not just going to sit here and say they're shit because obviously they're not the international footballers. But I just think Van Persie's starting to show his age a bit, and I don't. Somebody said to me the other day, yeah, but last season he did. Yes, but this year. That's like last year my ankle was fine. This year my ankle's fucked. So it's like, so what's to say this year he's just lost a yard? It happens. And I just think Van Persie has finally reached that time where the yard of pace has gone. It's visible in my eyes.
Mm.
Um, and Falcao, maybe it's just confidence, Ryan. Maybe that is genuinely all it is. But he just looks shot. He just looks like he has nothing in the tank whatsoever. I don't know if you agree with that, where when
No.
you watch him play, he just looks like somebody, when the camera, because obviously in the Premier League you're always scrutinised and the camera pounces on you. And every time the camera goes to him, he just looks drained. He just looks like he wants to get off the pitch, doesn't he?
It's just, I mean, granted, he's not long come back from an injury, but I don't think now you can start using that as an excuse.
It's been long enough now.
It's been long enough, and he's been under Louis van Gaal's amazing fitness routine, which is, of course, many injuries in the club, but he's been there long enough. Surely he's been able to adapt. Maybe he's not a Premier League footballer. Not all players are, and he looked. Even in the West Ham game, they took him out of the game, and West Ham worked hard all game. As a Man United fan, I'm even going to say we did not deserve to win that game. I'm thankful that we got a point, but it should have been more. It should be more than a point against, especially against West Ham. I'm
You
not saying that
almost,
they're a bad team, but we should be beating teams this side of January, February, if we want to get in top four. And I think we will, but more points are needed.
I think when you talk about Premier League players, and you said there he's not Premier League players, some players just aren't. I think that's a good point. I think the difference between the Premier League and other leagues is how much players are pressed and how little time they have. And everybody always talks about the pace of the Premier League, and I think it is apparent. And I think it's what I think maybe is being found is Falcao's come to United. He's just come out of a really bad injury. I wonder if for the first few months, and maybe even still, opposition managers are saying, look, just get into this guy. Don't give him a second. Give him a couple of kicks. Just like make him know you're there. And from day one, it's slowly eating away at his confidence, and it's just he's more and more thought, God, I haven't got a second to breathe, and like it's just getting to him.
Mm.
Um,
He seemed to expect every time when he wanted the ball in West Ham, he expected it to his feet every single time. He wasn't willing to work to get the ball if there was a ball that was played through in front of him, and it was between him and the defender. The defender's getting there first because he wasn't working hard enough.
I mean, have you ever had it on Football Manager where you've signed somebody who's dominated in maybe a different country, and when he's come to yourself, he just hasn't done it?
I've got it right now.
Fantastic. Go on.
With PSG.
Who's pissing you off?
I actually bought him from Man United. He's a French player, and he's just maybe he's not adapting to my style of football. It's not a very typical French style of football, which is to me French football. Whenever I've watched it on TV, it's always like the Italian, very slow, and I'm all very quick on the counter, quick transitions, and everybody's got to be quick, and this player just isn't quick enough. He's unable. I think his passing ability is supposed to be 18 on FM, but I'm dubious to look at that because he keeps either giving the ball away or hoofing it long, thinking it's funny. So
I think it's funny. Yeah, I can imagine you sitting behind your laptop and what are you laughing at? Go and get that ball now.
He's the player that I mean, I'm PSG, so I'm not too worried about how much. I mean, I only spent 5 million on him, and I've still got 225 million left in the bank. It's ridiculous how much you get at PSG.
Check the story if people haven't. He's been around the world before. People think, oh, easy save.
It's not been easy.
But yeah, I think it does happen, and it happens quite a lot. It'd be interesting to know people who listen back. Just let us know if you signed anybody and they've just completely flopped who have kicked arse in other leagues. What I would say is if you go into the FM scenarios section on our YouTube channel, you'll see where I put Real Madrid and Barcelona into the Premier League and switched two teams to La Liga. And the likes of Messi and Ronaldo, I think they only got 15 goals all season in the Premier League. And I think it was like 20 something in total, but 15 goals in total in the Premier League is not really impressive, is it? For players who dominate in La Liga. So in Football Manager, sometimes it's the same when you buy players, you just don't cut it. I mean, that's been the talk for a long time, hasn't it? Could Messi do what he does in La Liga? Could he do that in the Premier League?
Who knows? And I don't think we'll ever get to find out. 'Cause
I
I don't
don't think
think
we'll
he's ever
find
got.
out. I actually think he won't go to the Premier League because he's scared of actually failing in it. Because I don't think he could do it in the Premier League week in, week out. I mean, imagine him going to Stoke on a Wednesday night. Hey, that was part of the scenario. If you check, I checked how both clubs did away in Stoke, and neither of them won. Right, next one. Would you rather be a head coach or a manager? And we're going to leave that for a second because hopefully Jake's going to come on and listen, but at the minute he's just trying to get out of it. Right, next one. Nigel Pearson, sacked or not? Now, before we discuss whether he was actually sacked or whether he wasn't, and this disastrous, was it a press release or just a leak from the club? First off, I think we need to say is it's an absolute disgrace what he did in the match, I think. And then I don't know what's more disgraceful, Ryan, the fact he pinned the guy down by the throat. And somebody commented saying he didn't, he just touched him. Fuck, piss off. He freaking grabbed the guy.
Yeah, there's pictures.
Or, what's worse is that, or when they gave him the opportunity to apologise after the match, he turned around and said, I can look after myself. And like he was like, stood there as if he was like Mr. Big Man. It's like, what? Who the hell has let this guy in front of the camera? He was like, as if he knew he'd been in a fight, and he's like, don't worry about me, I can handle myself. And it's like, are you stupid? I don't know if you saw that bit, Ryan.
I haven't
Right, sorry about this,
seen him,
Ryan.
but I've only
Ryan, your internet's shocking tonight.
relevant. I've seen.
Hello? Okay, I do apologise. Ryan appears to have died. Ryan's going to sort his internet out and he should come back good as new in a second. But yeah, what we were saying, I just think it's disgraceful that someone can come out as a manager of a Premier League football club and say what he said. I mean, Mr. Zulu on the right side, he's saying his interview after was shocking as well when he said that he could handle himself. Exactly. I just think it's like, I know the managers come on, they still heated up after the match, but seriously, that shouldn't happen. They should be maybe vetted. They should be something checked before they go in front of the camera and just said, look, are you alright? Have you calmed yourself down? Are you ready for this interview? Are you going to come on and be a knob? Basically, you can't come on and say what he said. You can't grab a player. I mean, I don't know about you, Mr. Zulu, it seems you've commented on this, but I was more surprised that Alan Pardew didn't quickly run over and headbutt him. I was waiting for that. I was thinking this is going to be a really interesting touchline discussion when Pardew runs over and drops the nut on him. Right, Ryan, are you back?
I am back. Can you hear me now?
Yes, you sound a bit clearer as well. I'm just saying there, I don't know, also surprised was the fact that Pardew didn't try to nut him.
It wouldn't surprise me. Pardew is a very tough man. But
when I saw Pardew in the opposition dugout walking over, I thought, here we go.
Still going to kick up.
Almost disappointed he didn't. But yeah, you were just saying about where he went after the match where he came out and obviously said what he said.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think to me he's always been a very egotistical and sure of himself manager, which fair enough if he's confident in himself, but doing something like that, grabbing a player, we're playing football, not rugby. I know we may be getting excited that the Six Nations has not long started, but you can't be
Now,
grabbing players from the touchline.
I will say it has come out this evening that um, Nigel Pearson does say that he was sacked, but then he was reinstated by Leicester. So I wonder if he's pinned the chairman down. They've told him he's going to get sacked, and he's thought, you what? Right, that's it. He's lost his plotting, and the chairman's gone, oh, whoa, fucking have your job back. I'm sorry. But I think he should go. I think he's after the. I'm not going to come out and say I know the full story. I've heard a couple of things what he said to this fan early on in the season. But no matter what it is, from the stories I've heard, every single one of them is not acceptable. So whatever happened, he seems to have issues, doesn't he, where he comes out randomly.
I think my mate would not agree with you that he needs to be sacked, but way recently and this recent altercation that he's had just it isn't professional. And when you're in front of Sky cameras, you've got to be an influence on the younger generation who want to go and be managers. And are you gonna go see me at the next football tournament that I'm managing, just starting to grab a player because I don't agree with what he's doing? No.
No, and we can't really discuss the club you manage and the behaviour of players. They
No, we
might be
can't.
listening. Um, yeah, we'll slide away from that. Ryan had some issues with one of the players not liking him. Right, Ryan, we're going to move on to the African Cup of Nations, which I will quite happily say right now, I did not see a single kick of the ball of the whole tournament. I literally had no interest. The same with the Asian one. The only kick of the ball I've seen from that was the goal by Tim Cahill.
Yeah,
I've just had, do you know what? I've just had no interest, and it was quite strange by me because I normally watch world football. Like I watched the USA Panama game. I just watch random football all the time, but these two tournaments have they've been on at times where I've been busy, which doesn't help. Because obviously some people might know, obviously at certain times of the night I'll turn everything off for 2 or 3 hours and just spend time with the family. But I just have had no interest.
yeah. I mean, I'm exactly the same. I've only ever turned it on when I've literally can't find anything to watch. I just say, "Oh, I may as well watch the African Cup of Nations." But every game I've watched, it's either turned into a riot or the referee's doing something wrong. I don't know. This tournament has been quite chaotic, and I know it was. I think when the hosts were changed because of the Ebola crisis, which fair enough, it had to be changed. But there was just something that I read earlier that it shows that you can organise a tournament in 3 months.
Was it because the Ebola virus? Because the country who was due to host it have now been banned for 2 years, haven't they?
Yeah, I think it was Ebola and is it Tunisia or Morocco that got banned? Morocco
Yeah,
was it Morocco
Morocco got banned. Yeah,
they got banned and it went to I don't even know where it was hosted. I just ended up watching it
it was
randomly.
something Guinea, wasn't it?
Equatorial Guinea.
Do you know what? The only thing I've actually seen, and we discussed this a couple of days ago, was this situation with Sepp Blatter. Um, I highly doubt Sepp Blatter's listening to the show, but if he is, you're an absolute knob. Honestly, this guy, how he is in charge of FIFA is beyond me. To come out and say, "Oh, I didn't see anything wrong," the media's just exaggerating the violence. Oh yeah, sure. The media made all of these people from Ghana stand in front of the cameras covered in blood and explain how they were pelted with loads of stuff, and
Mm.
then how the police locked the gates so they couldn't get out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but the
the
police
media exaggerated that. What a load of crap.
the police in these African countries. I mean, I don't. I think, but the one game that I saw before the final with Ivory Coast and Ghana, the police were trying to escort people out with a helicopter or stop a riot with helicopters. I don't. I think they just stood there laughing at it. It's a helicopter. It's not gonna stop a riot. And hopefully, future tournaments like this. I mean, it won't. Hopefully, it won't happen in the World Cup. But who knows? Who knows what could happen in Qatar?
Well, I watched the last African Cup of Nations a couple of years ago, and that was a shambles as well. And I think the issue is it gets passed around. Um, I think, with the greatest respect to Africa as a continent, I think it doesn't take a rocket science to know that many of the countries have financial and poverty issues. That the country that hosted the Cup Nations being one of them. So at some point they've got to look at the possibility of it being a set tournament in a set country, or some sort of I don't know how they could do it, to be honest with you. Or they need to make it every 4 years instead of every couple, because there's something needs to change, because it is just a farce, because there's so much happens. It happens at the wrong time of the year, which causes all this anger with West Ham. I mean, do you ever withdraw players from tournaments on FM?
Um, Depends. If I've got an important game and they need to be back for match fitness, sometimes I will withdraw them, but not usually, no. But he got in some way and he had to be withdrawn, or no, but he withdrew himself because he couldn't get over there.
He withdrew with a back injury. Then the day after he withdrew with a back injury, he played for West Ham.
Which, yes, is wrong, and I've had many discussions with many West Ham fans.
And when he's been, I think the biggest issue is when he's been asked to. West Ham, got asked for the medical proof, and he said they couldn't present it, they didn't present it.
Yeah, so clearly something fishy going on, and they deserved their £71,000 fine.
Oh, I wonder if they can afford it. I just think it's. I mean, I've never really managed in Africa long enough. Normally, I'm not going to lie. Normally, you can get the jobs really easily. I'm sure you'll have noticed that. So I do quite often, because I do like to dip my toes in the international market. I do quite often go to the likes of Ivory Coast, for example. But within months, I'm off as soon as something newer comes up. But Jake's come on. Can you hear us, Jake?
Yeah.
And now Mr. Zulu's from Teesside area, so he should be able to understand you, Jake. But if anyone has any issues, let us know and I can translate. Right, Jake. We're going to talk about the head coaches or manager. Now, you're doing a head coach job at the minute on Football Manager.
Yeah.
Go on, explain what you're doing.
Well, I started with Newcastle, the team I support, and as we all know, John Carver's now the head coach, so I decided I'll change all the staff responsibilities in the game. So only Lee Charney can make the signings, but I can say if someone bid for Tim Krul, I'd have to say, well, I'd want this much because the game isn't programmed to do that.
Ah,
But
okay.
everything else, the game programs to do, so you'll pick signings, but I can recommend them still, as John Carver would.
And how is it working on the game? Does the game seem to run it quite realistically, in your opinion?
I started crying at one point with some of the players I wanted.
See, what he said there, lads, was he was crying at one point. Can I just say that Jake's one of the admins on FMCentral, and we do this as a joke before people abuse me for mocking his accent. What happened? Who did they sign, or who did they try to sell?
Tim Krul ended up going in the first 4 days. Then Colo left after a week. He wanted to leave for personal reasons. Then he ended up going to Villarreal.
Okay.
Teodi went to Italy. So they ended up signing Silesen or Zoet, the Dutch keepers.
Oh yeah, know him well.
Was one of them too. They ended up giving Ryan here a £9 million worth contract.
What the hell?
I don't know why they did that. They extended his contract by 4 years. Then
Jesus.
the centre back, they got Winston Reid for $4 million, which I was fairly happy with.
Yeah.
Because decent replacement. Then Santon ended up going to Tottenham. Then I was left with Dummett. Everyone wants a bit of Dummett.
Had to get rid of him.
Dummett was the number one left back.
Jesus, times are hard.
They got a wonder kid. I showed you him not long ago.
I remember that. He wasn't
Something
bad.
Gutierrez from Argentina.
So they didn't make too bad of. They made a couple of decent signs, but then some of the contract decisions you would say were just a bit stupid.
They gave Sammy Amiobi a new deal as well. That
Yeah.
brought a tear to my eyes.
I think. I mean, one way to look at it is Mike Ashley in real life obviously offers massive contracts to players, doesn't he? And he
makes
does that.
6-year deals.
Yeah, he does that to force clubs, if they want to buy the players, so they have to offer massive offers like for selling the player. Which I was discussing with somebody at work. I don't know about yourself, Jake, but I actually like being a Newcastle supporter to the extent where we're quite well run financially. Now, I'm going to say no idea where some of the money goes. I mean, let's be honest, it disappears. But if we have bills to pay, he pays them. He doesn't say, "Oh, the money's disappeared."
Yeah,
So
I was talking to my sociology teacher a few days ago because he's a Newcastle fan as well, a die-hard fan. And we're talking about Mike Ashley when he gets bill pays, because when Shepard had the club, we were in major debt.
yeah,
Well, it would have ended up like Leeds or Portsmouth.
I
Mike
think
Ashley
that's true.
he came in, saved the day, but it's like the Europa League year, we needed players and we only got Anita.
Who, by the way, I actually quite like, and I feel sorry for when Teore comes back.
He's a really good player, but
He doesn't.
he lets him down sometimes.
I think the only issue with him is the fact that when he gets past the halfway line, he does get a bit scared.
The problem with Mike Ashley, though, I'm reading now, Lambais has banned the daily record in Scotland from interviewing Rangers like they did with us, with the Chronicle.
Yeah. I mean, they're always going to have issues. I mean, as soon as they read something, they just get a bit pissed off. Now, Lambais, obviously, he's learned some stuff in Newcastle, but he didn't have a clue when he come into Newcastle. So, I mean, he'd run a nightclub, hadn't he, or something?
We're still waiting for this 5-year plan, which started in 2008.
Didn't worry, it's going well. But yeah, so you would say that, would you recommend doing that type of thing on Football Manager to anybody else?
If you were struggling again to say like I was originally, try it because it's really challenging. I got left with Sammy Amiobi in overtime on the wings.
Well, that's alright, didn't it? I mean, did you say the weekend when overtime come on, the crowd were well chuffed with that?
He's good real life-ish, but not so much Football Manager.
He was shocking at the weekend.
His pace is helping real life.
As two Newcastle fans, we're now going to sit and discuss that. The fact that he passed the ball from 6 yards out. Before he got injured, he started to look quite decent. We praised him on our old Monday night show, but then he's come back from this injury and he looks scared to touch the ball again.
If John Carver was my manager, I'd be scared as well.
I think
he always looks angry.
He does look like he's going to drop someone. I noticed Cabella when he went off. The crowd obviously all booed, saying, "Oh no, don't sub our most creative player." But then when Cabella got to the bench, he was just like, "Yeah, thanks, boss. Yeah, I'll sit down."
He threw the water bottle, and Carver came out saying he has to respect the team. But he was praising him last week, saying he's better than Ben Arthur.
Well, I think it's touch and go at the minute. He's just another Ben Arthur at the minute, but he has got potential. But yeah, before we hug this whole show talks about Newcastle, I'm just going to ask you: Did you watch the African Cup Nations?
I saw the highlights. I was meant to watch the Ivory Coast game, but just forgot.
Well, they played more than one. What do you mean the final?
It was one of the first games.
Ah, okay.
But I just couldn't find the link and I forgot.
Nice. Good job.
Couldn't find the link. It was on ITV4.
No, what he's doing there is he's now going to promote illegal viewing of programs.
Did they actually show any games on ITV4 though? Because
Yes.
I could only find the highlights.
Yes, I watched the game on ITV4.
Oh man, I'm pressing the remote. What's happening? Hell man, sick of this. Gone down the tune. Right, Jake, I'll let you get back off to your life.
Hey, goodbye.
I don't know how to hang up, so you'll have to hang up yourself. See you later, pal.
Bye.
And we'll wait and cheer when he goes, "Way!" We'll say thanks for Jake for coming on. He's a good laugh and he does like coming on audio things. in our team meeting, I spent the whole time translating what he said. Right, the next topic is Harry Kane, England's future forward. Now, one thing I do want to point out, which made me laugh, Ryan, at the weekend, was when Harry Kane, Gary Lineker mentioned about Harry Kane talking about, these old Tottenham legends.
Mm.
And Gary Lineker goes, Lineker, because he missed Gary Lineker off the list. But then also Gary Lineker did say when he played for Tottenham, Harry Kane wasn't even born, which surely must make him feel old.
Wow.
But what do you think of him?
Well, the 2 goals that he scored, one of them, yes, a tap in, but the header, impeccable. Great goal.
It reminded me of Alan Shearer.
Yeah, I mean it's fantastic. I mean I'm hoping, because I've put down that future England forward, and hopefully for the next World Cup, I'm hoping it isn't just going to be this season, and then if Tottenham don't get into Europe or don't get into Champions League, because there's rumours of Real Madrid sending scouts to watch him in 4 games this season. And if they've watched him against Arsenal, they've watched him at his best. I'm hoping that he doesn't go to Real Madrid and he stops at Tottenham and progresses there, because Pochettino has got him playing fantastic, and I think he scored 21 goals this season now, 22.
I think it's more, isn't it? Because I'm sure a couple of weeks ago it was 20, 21 or 22 in all competitions. I might be wrong. And what I do find strange is did you not, I don't know if you picked up on this, but near the start of the season, he was only playing in Europe, wasn't he? He didn't really get games in the league. And after every single Europa League game when he played well, Pochettino come out and was saying like, I'm not sure if he's good enough for the Premier League squad. And it just seemed like he wasn't sure on him. I bet he's now just thinking, oh, thank God I've got a goal scorer.
Yeah, true, because the only one they had was Christian Eriksen, and if Tottenham don't get into Champions League this year, I reckon a big team's going to come and start sniffing around him.
Now, what I would say is Eriksen's going to go. I think he's going to leave England. I can see him going to Real Madrid, but then moving on after 1 or 2 seasons. He's going to be a Wesley Sneijder type player at Real Madrid. Turns up, doesn't last long, then leaves. And that's my fear, that something like that happens. I would like to see him go to, I don't know, possibly somewhere like, I hate to say for Tottenham fans, but somewhere like Chelsea. Somewhere like Chelsea, or I would have liked to see him at Man United, but I'm sorry, Ryan, but I just can't see Man United going back to the club they were for a few years. And possibly, I don't know, because our class at the minute, Liverpool on the same kind of level as Man United, but I can almost see him in the Liverpool shirt.
I don't know, it depends if Liverpool can get Champions League football this year.
Well, that's the issue, isn't it? I mean, could he be another Sol Campbell? I just think he's too big for Tottenham. I'm sorry, Tottenham fans, but I really do.
I mean, he's an excellent player, and he probably will end up at somewhere like Real Madrid, Barcelona. They can't sign anyone.
Don't dodge the question. Could he do a Sol Campbell?
He could do.
He could do. I could see it. But I do think Harry Kane needs to move on as well. I mean, I'm sorry, Tottenham fans. I really actually do like watching Tottenham play, but I just think the club is a stepping stone club. And unfortunately, you are 5 to 10 years away from becoming a big club. And I'm only saying that because obviously you got away from the new stadium, etc., which is going to possibly, hopefully, maybe turn you into a top 4 club season in, season out. It could happen, but the only issue there is the 6 or 7 clubs going to be competing, isn't it? Because if West Ham keep playing how they are, then they move to this Olympic Stadium and they get the increased revenue and everything. Could West Ham move into that elusive top 7, right?
I don't know about top 7. I think they're always going to be mid-table team. maybe with the revenue that they get from this big stadium, but it doesn't stay. I mean, what is it now? 60,000, and are they taking it to 60,000,
I
or is it?
think all I know is they've removed all the running track and they like arching the seats, like to make it all fit in better.
Mm.
That's all I know. I kind of preach the capacity.
I know the capacity from what it was for the Olympics goes down.
Yeah.
I think it was 80, and they're taking it back to 60 or something like that.
All I know is I helped build it. Check my Facebook. You'll see pictures of me inside the Olympic Stadium whilst it was under construction. Yeah. There's a historic place to have been. But I do think there's a few clubs up there. I mean, like I've said I'm sure you remember, I'm going to remind everybody of this week in, week out. But on the first show of this season, I said Southampton would finish in the top 4. And everybody laughed at me, didn't you? Come on, Ryan.
I didn't laugh. I was just dubious.
Well, basically everybody laughed. Everybody was just like, no, they're going to struggle. And then look what's happened. So watch this space. I can see West Ham doing something, especially with the new stadium. I think, it's actually going to be interesting to say, in 5 years' time, Ryan, I want you to tell me the top 6 in the Premier League.
Top 6 in any order.
In any order, from 5 years from now. So
it's Man City, Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea. How many have I got there? 4.
Yeah.
Southampton. I think they'll improve over the years if they keep Ronald Koeman, and Tottenham.
See, interesting. Liverpool don't get in.
No. That might be me just being biased as a Man United fan.
So I'm gonna go with Arsenal, just because they're so financially sound, and they've done a lot of good business, and they've got a young squad, a big stadium, so they can kind of buy the way out. I'm gonna go Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United again. I don't think Man United are going to win the Premier League for at least 5 seasons. I think they're in a massive rebuilding, which I've got rid of that word a couple of times, haven't I, this year?
Yeah.
But I do think they are in the middle of a massive change at the club. So we've got Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, because I think with the expansion of the stadium as well, it's going to help them financially to just go that one step further, because finance is so important. West Ham, I think their time's coming, and Tottenham with the new stadium coming. I actually think Man City owners are going to end up shipping up and leaving.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I think Jake's popped up with a joke and added Newcastle in.
Top 6, Newcastle. Yeah, good job.
Maybe.
They also said Man United, Man City, Chelsea, Spurs, Arsenal, Saints. Very creative. Mr. Zulu said he'd love to see him in a Liverpool shirt.
That's Christian Eriksen.
Yeah, Christian Eriksen.
Mm.
But yeah, that's the show done. I'd like to thank James for coming on. He did message me saying he was running very late. He just left work and he sent me a really ugly picture. I think it was his face. So unfortunately James couldn't make it. But we'll say go and check out the Football Manager Whizzkids on Facebook. There you go. He still gets a plug in when he doesn't come on. Remember to check out FMCentral. Check out Football Central. What else do we have? Check out our Twitter. Check out our YouTube. YouTube's dropped to 1 video a day at the minute, just to try to get a bit more interest, because I'm putting a lot of effort in. There's not really a lot of interest at the minute. So, but I'm still going to keep them going. I'm just obviously dropped in one a day, so it just gives people longer to see the episodes, which I think might help. But yeah, the website's going really well at the minute. I did sit down with the missus today and discuss some major developments in the future with the website. Obviously, she owns FMCentral, for people who didn't know that, so don't push and laugh at me.
She's like the chairman.
She is like the chairman. I have to use her online account to buy it. Jake equals James. Yes, Jake, you were like James when you come on. Top notch. Couldn't understand the word you said. But yeah, thanks for listening, F1. Stay tuned to FM Central. Tune in to our Thursday night shows, Tactics Special. Thank you to everyone who does different things around our community, like comes on our groups, checks our Twitter out. We appreciate it all. Feel the love, and a big shout out to Ben, who this week got the community database out. We did fear for his life. He'd been silent for so many months, but it is live and getting a lot of usage from people. If you haven't seen it, check it out. There's nearly 200 people added. And he didn't just add stats, he added everything, didn't he, Ryan? There's so much detail in it.
Well, you think you said it was something like 200 odd changes per person.
Yeah, 200 odd changes per person is a massive amount. It's literally every detail. I mean, I'm not joking. I think he's got the birthmark on my arm. So it's great work by him. And no matter what club you take over, I am the chairman. So that's always great to see. So thanks for watching. Say good night, Ryan.
Good night.
And good night from me.